Let's start this morning with what's going on with the supply chain issue because President Biden addressing the nation yesterday, talking about where we are with the supply chain issue. And I think he was trying to make the case, I think, that, look, we've been working on this for a long time.
I think he has.
And maybe that's the case. And I
Right.
think there's been we don't have to think that. There's been an executive order that he signed back in February around supply chain issues. And then it was followed up by another executive order in the middle of the summer, which enabled him to appoint a supply chain sort of czar. So there have been things he's been doing throughout the spring and into summer. But my question really is, what can a president of the United States really do? Here's what the president said yesterday in addressing some of those issues in front of the American people about opening some of these ports. Let's listen.
Adams. Los Angeles and Long Beach are home to two of the largest ports in America, and together these ports are among the largest in the world. And the best way to make that point is that 40% of shipping containers that we import into this country come through these two ports. And today we have some good news. They're going to help speed up the delivery of goods all across America. After weeks of negotiation and working with my team and with the major union retailers and freight movers, the Port of Los Angeles announced today that it's going to begin operating 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This follows the Port of Long Beach's commitment to 24/7 that it announced just weeks ago. 24/7 system, what most of the leading countries in the world already operate on now, except us, until now. This is the first key step toward moving our entire freight, transportation, and logistical supply chain nationwide to a 24/7 system.
Most of this work was dealing with labor unions. Now, he's positioned himself as somebody who likes labor unions. He thinks he can work well with labor unions. So this was his solution, was to go in and say, look, can we lift some of these controls that are keeping these ports not running 24 hours, not allowing certain people to work overtime? We need this. We need to open up around the clock. Can this happen? And the labor unions agreed. Now
Right.
He's saying he also got commitments from Walmart, Target, FedEx, Home Depot, UPS, that they will work harder. And he's calling upon the private sector and saying, hey, you should do this too, to which the private sector is saying, we're trying.
Right.
We've been trying. We're trying to do this. We can't hire. That's sort of the one piece. Like, the president cannot create labor out
Right.
of thin air, right?
Right. I mean, he can make some executive orders. He can try to open things up. He can try to make it a little bit easier so that these businesses can do their jobs more quickly. But, again, it comes down to the labor issue. It comes down to the supply, right? It's a supply crisis. It comes down to these items which have been stuck in other countries, backlogged because of the pandemic, unable to get here, the costs of everything going up. This is not really his fault. I mean, this is not like this is the President of the United States'
No,
fault.
it's a perfect storm of all of these things. There's sicknesses in Asia in the factories in which they're produced. So the items are being produced slower, right?
Right.
They can't leave because they can't cross a hurricane or a typhoon or whatever it is. When they arrive, there's a labor shortage to unload it. So there wasn't much talk about setting expectations for consumers and the fact that prices are going to be higher, and they will remain so, right? But I think there is sort of a small shift in the conversation around the fact that we acknowledge life is more expensive. Goods are now costing arguably what they should cost, right? The sort of perverted low cost of items is no more. Things are going to remain this. I mean, he's celebrating this opening up of ports for 40% of all imports. What about the other 60%, right? There
Right.
still will be clogs.
Well, and the other problem is that people are hoarding again, right? They're going to the Costco,
Yeah.
they're buying up toilet paper, they're buying up as much stuff as they can get their hands on right now because they're worried about getting food for their family. They're buying up canned goods and other things like that. I'm curious, how many people in our chat right now, how many people who are watching, are worried, number one, about getting those Christmas gifts? Also, have you gone to the store and have loaded up on anything extra? Let me know in the chat, like, have you doubled up on toilet paper or bought some extra beans or rice? We have a rice shortage.
Yeah.
There's a beans shortage. There's And then it's weird because then you have things like in Australia, we wrote about in the newsletter today, there's an avocado surplus because people were at home and they weren't going out for their avocado toast at the restaurant, so no one bought avocados, and now they have a surplus of avocados.
I don't understand this. It's all I eat. It's avocado toast. So
like every morning she's like, you want an avocado
cannot
toast?
make it at home? Why were the avocados not consumed from people just doing it at home? This blows my mind.
You need to eat more avocados. Apparently, that's just
Apparently.
Well,
I'll eat them all up. I'm happy
another
to do
shortage that I was on. It was a bit on NPR earlier this week. Another shortage is actually glass jars. That people are having trouble getting glass jars, which is going to start affecting things like vinegar, hot sauce, spaghetti sauce, things like that. And it's not.
Oh,
it's
don't
not
say
a
that about
supply
hot
issue.
sauce. Oh, not to her.
That was the specific
Why?
or the guy they were interviewing was that's what he did was vinegar and hot sauce. It's just because the glass jars are stuck in port.
Interesting.
Jen Psaki, White House press secretary, yesterday was asked about this issue, and I actually thought I tried to get it for you, and I couldn't. The file size was screwed up. But she was asked by a reporter and kind of pushed on this issue. You know, if President Biden is working so hard right now to fix this infrastructure issue, why is the president not pushing harder to bring up the infrastructure bill for a vote and get it through? And she didn't have a good answer on this. She's like, we're working on this. And this has been one of my criticisms of President Biden. Where's the leadership on infrastructure?
But what are we talking about specifically?
I'm talking about
what type of
rail.
infrastructure
Well, first
would
of all,
help this?
let's just talk about one. Let me just give you one anecdote. Chicago, right? Chicago rail lines right now are absolutely backed up with miles and miles and miles of trains that are sitting there with goods that are going to go bad, right? If we actually had a rail infrastructure in the United States, which is part of this infrastructure bill that worked and made sense, then we wouldn't have these backlogs. And the same thing is true of the ports. So port access, all of those things at the ports, at the train stations across the United States. So that's just one big issue, and specifically on labor too, like working with the labor leaders as part of this infrastructure package. So there's a whole host of things they could have done.
Okay, all right.
I'm just saying I'm just telling you what a reporter asked, and the White House didn't really have a good answer for. I thought it was a good question from the reporter saying, "Hey, where's the president been on this issue of pushing harder to get this infrastructure bill through?" That's been one of my big criticisms of him through the summer. It's like we haven't heard anything from the White House.
That's not true. He's been on a tour. He's trying to promote
He's
this.
He's out there trying to promote it. I'm saying
Push it through Congress.
Get it through Congress.
But I think because the point of failure is too risky. Like if you push it through, it's voted down. You don't, there's only so many times. And we still have the debt ceiling to deal with. So it's a matter of priorities.
Here's another issue, though. President Biden is asking the oil and gas industry right now to try to tame some of these prices. This in Politico this morning.
Ooh, look at that. $4.57.
That's crazy. Whatever gas prices are in your town, let me know when you're in the chat. What are you guys paying for gas right now?
Strange things afoot at the Circle K.
Belinda Edwards says she has yeah.
That's a Bill and Ted's reference right there.
I have avocado waiting for my breakfast, Belinda says.
That a girl.
So the White House has been consulting with oil industry leaders to seek a remedy for the rising gasoline prices. Surging inflation threatens to tarnish the economic recovery. It's a 7-year high right now. 7-year high. Up to $80 a barrel.
Meanwhile, in the UK, politicians are saying, look, we're going to start paying the price of things now. Like our binge on cheap goods is over. It's been a good run, but that's it. In fact, the leading manufacturer of chicken has said, look, our 20-year binge on low-cost chicken, it's over. That's it. We're not doing it anymore. In the UK, right. And this is the way of the world, right? Cheaply produced, massed goods is not a sustainable economy. And we're going to see that now.
And they're going to have it tough because, think about all the imports that they rely on. But they're already, the UK is already under intense pressure because of Brexit. So they're already, because of leaving the European Union, already having to deal with more pain in that way. And now on top of that, add in this additional supply chain issue.
No more cheap chicken. It's clucking terrible.
Derek Ead says $3.39 for gas where he is, $4 for Florence Vincent. Wow. Nicholas Kemarel in $3.80 in Chicago. Nicholas, I'm curious up there in Chicago, are you seeing this train issue in some of the train yards there? 309 in Minneapolis from David Foley. Cindy Girl says 349 here in York, Pennsylvania.
See, but the chat room's going crazy about avocados. They'll take the cheap avocados in exchange. So if Australia can find a way to
Yeah, get your avocados.
get them on over here, we want them.
Yeah. So we
Can
have
we
more
make
news to
fuel
get to.
out of avocados.
What's that?
Let's work on
make
making
fuel.
fuel out of avocados.
There you
I
go.
suppose we could.
That'd be a smart move, like in Back to the Future when he puts all this.
Oh, in the flux capacitor that
it doesn't use
it runs on
plutonium.
compost. That's right. Absolutely.
Thanks for subscribing to the channel. You can also become a channel member by going to morninginvest.com/join, where you can stick it to the mainstream media and support independent journalism. We're able to bring you the stories that you won't see on any of the major billionaire-backed networks. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time, everyone.